States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, move on to item number 3, consideration and approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Kyle, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dan, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Now we'll move on to item number 4. This is public forum. This is an opportunity for citizens to present items to council that are not on the agenda. Each presentation is limited to 3 minutes and a maximum of 15 minutes is set aside. If your item needs follow-up from the city, staff will arrange time for that. I don't see anybody here for public forum, so I will call again. Anybody who want to step forward for public forum? And anybody want to step forward for public forum? I'll ask for a third and final time. Hearing none, we will move on to item number 5.1, current staffing system execution under new business.
Yeah. So this is me. Thank you for being here. As we are all aware, we've been in the process of trying to hire and attract an administrative assistant. And at the same time, we have a desperate need to find some IT support in the very near future. We did some interviews. Staff did interviews. Kent and I were part of a couple of interviews. Great candidates. There was one that had some IT experience that was thought maybe we could cross utilize IT experience in the AA position. Because she had qualifications for both as per the scoring that I was using. And again, I'm just one person, but through some exploration, we found that the union has stated that we cannot have an administrative assistant position engage in IT activities. Am I understanding that correctly? Because of clearance or class work. So for me, looking at the calendar, our IT contract is up at the end of the month. We've got some staff going to be out of the office next week, which leads our meeting on the 24th of April, with not a whole lot of time to impact either one of those positions one way or the other. Basically, I think we need to make some sort of decisions on what we're going to do with IT and what we're going to do with the AA position, and ensure what we've done so far is up to par, if you will, and how we can accomplish both goals moving forward in a quick amount of time. It's kind of my belief.
Thanks, Dan.
I guess I feel personally how the email went out, that those qualities that did not make that person a good candidate for the position didn't make sense in my mind, because if the other person scored better, that's all it should have been. Is that this was the candidate that we're going with because they're more suited for the position. That candidate also has a lot of HR and labor force background, which makes me also concerned that they're going to be involved in classified information or exposed to it accidentally or intentionally because of the history or the background of that individual. And so now I'm kind of worried about both candidates, to be honest.
With HR though, that wouldn't be something that they would just half willingly fall into though. I don't know that there'd be any time they'd be requested to do anything, either person to be HR involved.
Well, they wouldn't have access.
No, that's locked off.
I would hope. I guess that's what I understood, but, so I don't know if that would be a big factor in my mind. If you know, if they didn't have access. Would they be utilized for some reason? Probably not if they're union.
So if the HR skill sets are off the table and the IT skill sets are off the table, how did both candidates score without those skill sets associated to their background?
I think if we step back from the interviews, if we're taking IT off the table, we're taking HR off the table, we're just looking at the AA roles. I think any of the three candidates that we interviewed would do well. I have a favorite and a second favorite that I think are the most personable and the most would fit in the most with the city, but I don't think we could make a bad decision out of any of the three finals that we interviewed.
I would agree. For me, is some clarification needed too, like what specifically in the IT in the IT part can't they do as the administrative assistant? Like, was there certain parts? Because then otherwise perform other duties as required by the Department of Municipal Leadership becomes a null and void line in any of our job descriptions because we can't. But I don't know what those guardrails are and why I wouldn't be able to fit them. Here we are.
Why wouldn't they, you know, anybody in any position in the city office, when I was fire marshal, if something didn't work right, you would ask one of your coworkers, how do I get to that? So how do I get to that? And they would tell you, I would make the effort to do it. And if I didn't do it, they would come over and help me. I don't know if that's considered IT. I think that's just one person helping another. And why couldn't that person step up and look at it? If management or the administrator said, I want you to go and figure out what's wrong with that system. Well, then you're asking them to do something and that maybe isn't in their job description, but just somebody help with somebody else. I don't think it's a fact.
The other thing that plays on my mind is not necessarily that they're servers or financial information other than the utility billing or the fire billing, but there's been a number of cases where we've struggled just to get on the internet or set up our iPads and get our emails up and going. Print. Phone, I guess phone calls would be under that setup, but there seems like there's a lot of just basic utilitarian stuff that would be an asset there. And is that across the board? You're even talking about a new app to be able to notify individuals that are out there. And does everybody at city staff have the requisite knowledge to understand that and get it going and establish it right? How about Facebook and the website that could all definitely work? I think that we need the position that's coming into place is they're going to have to kind of take over the new emerging technology that the city's utilizing and trying to share and teach the individuals around them, not just working on software and customer information and social security numbers and that sort of thing.
So my next question was, or next thought process is how are we going to be able to satisfy both of these needs in a short amount of time? That's why I emailed out just a copy of the budget expenses from the end of March to have something to look at. I believe I can say with confidence that we have looked at other IT contractors to try to fill the gap. And they are $3,600 and was the last one that we interviewed. Like back prior to that would be the RFP process from last March. And the bare minimum is about $1,500 to $1,700 to go with the contractor. The contractor that was that price is contracts that we've had before that aren't super happy with the results that they gave us.
And several other cities use them as well around us and they're not happy either.
IT is considered a professional service, right? Am I correct there?
Yeah, well, we do have a separate line for IT computer services, so.
Other than Kent, our track record with IT services hasn't really been the best in the past. It'd be kind of nice to have somebody in-house that could own it And that could sit down and have meetings and not just get to it when it's convenient for themselves. Saying that you don't come right away or anything, but historically, it's kind of been a train wreck before.
That's where when I got into digging into the history, that's kind of what I found too, is that there's never, I can't find any record of there ever being an in-house IT person. There was for short,
So
short.
Brian Cholene, who did IT for the school, was on council for 26 years. So I'm quite certain that he was able to steer or help on that capacity. When I joined the council, he was doing, you know, he had the skills. I'm sure, you know, I don't want to speak and go on record saying he did our IT service, but he did the IT service over the school. So I'm sure he had some knowledge of what was going on in the city too. So that was probably a side benefit that.
Well, Andy looked, he wasn't certified IT, he just said he had some expertise and he did it. He was in my position and he excelled at that. He did really well with it. So I think he did a lot of stuff on his own, or he would work with our vendor at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Or could at least make a decision on if we needed to reach out or if it could be handled in-house. And how long did you do it prior to this?
I did it, 2 years.
2, okay. And it refresh my, I have this idea in my head that right before you left, there was it wasn't working out so good, or did I make that up? I can't remember.
Let me see how I can. There were some struggles with past administration
Okay,
from my contractual.
so it wasn't the job.
No, it wasn't the workload, it wasn't the job, it was some.
Thank you for clarifying, because I feel flow was you.
So, you know, what's wrong with the temporary contract with one of these vendors for a month or so until we get this sorted out? First of all, I wasn't in the understanding we were going to talk about IT. I thought it was administrative system. I'm looking at the agenda and I'm saying to myself, now we're talking about who we're going to put in an IT position.
I'm not really sure either what our purpose is here. Are
Yeah.
we just sharing it?
I'm just-
Are we making decisions? I'm not.
I guess personally, I don't know what Mr. Swanson's intention was, but I want to break it up because I thought that the next council meeting could turn into a 5-hour council meeting just with everything that was going on. A component of that is IT staffing and the administrative position. At the last council meeting, we were talking about having the administrative assistant at this next council meeting. And then also discussing IT at the budgetary time. That was one of the components. So my hope with this was to discuss both positions. And then to start getting the ball rolling on what we're thinking about when we start sitting down and talking about the budget. I don't know that I don't want to hire somebody for the IT position today or even by the next council meeting, because we've done that in the past and it hasn't worked out well. To try and do something very fast, I would like to post it, get the proper applicants, if that's the route that we're going to go. But I do want to make sure that we have it set aside as a budget need in our budget for planning, whether it's in 2025 or in 2026. We might be contracting out services this year, but are we always going to want to contract out that service, or are we going to want to go in-house at some point and have that reliability as somebody that can go up and help out the liquor store when their system's down on the 4th of July or something? That's kind of what we need, and I don't know that we get that at the contractor all the time. A sense of ownership.
And to provide a little bit of extra history, when Linda was here, we actually worked together to write a IT job description, or that was on the table. I think it did get cut at some point in time. I know there was a job description that was written, and it was planned that it eventually would have some sort of IT person. And I agree with you, Kyle. I think that there's only so much you can do as a contractor. It's not, I think I have more ownership in the systems here than any other contractors going. And I don't want to, not to say that they don't do good work and they don't do, there's a difference between having an employee that this is what they do every day versus I have tens or hundreds of clients and I pick up the phone and they call and say, okay, I'll remote in or I'll have send cars down. So it's, I guess at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we're getting the best, especially as we move forward, and get kind of grab into more of this technological things and we move into like archiving all of our documents and things like that. Having someone that could be free to do that would be fantastic. Now,
Well, Linda had a part of it when she was asked to put together by the council at that time, maybe you remember this, the organizational chart and she put all that together. And I know that was on her and I've got a copy of it, not here, but I do have a copy of what she said and Kent's right. I mean, that was real important at that time for the council to line up something like that. And I'm confident that there's another Kent out there somewhere. I really think there's somebody around the Pine City area that can, maybe not as well as Kent did, but could do it. And I think we need to explore that. And in the meantime, I know he can't carry on, or he says he probably won't be able to help us after a period of time. We can go out and contract for a month or so till we get this together, but I just don't like rushing into it. And I don't think it was part of this conversation. I probably would have brought a little more material from past history if I would have known that that was going to be talked about. So.
I think future staff needs was kind of the relative value, right? And in my mind, it's more so of a discussion point to get the ball rolling because we always seem to wait until the end of the year to say, hey, we need a position next year and we never visit the issue kind of thing.
Well, and we've got the administrator will be out of the office all next week, which puts us into the last week of April. And our IT contract expires on the 31st of April. So I was hopeful we could identify or at least start down a stopgap path, if you will. Is there a contractor out there that will take a month-to-month contract? You know, those are the questions that I felt we need to start working on before the 24th, because then we only have a week to make a decision.
Now, are you the only IT out there?
now there's four of us at the company.
Can we reach out to Mr. Minky and find out if we could secure some services, just like we do with Leslie Sauter? I don't see what's wrong with that. Yeah, maybe Ken can't fill that gap, but maybe one of the other three can. And maybe there's somebody at the tech college that we could steal
Have we reached out?
Yes, multiple times.
Okay, they have nothing for us.
I have not heard back.
from,
Who did you?
I wrote directly to the president.
Okay.
oh, for the college.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I was even asking for like instructors or students who are graduating or recently or.
Maybe you could take that email and reach out to the IT guy, the guy that.
Yeah, they have an
the
IT guy.
guy.
Like the last council meeting, I'm still nervous about going through Pine Tech for this kind of stuff. I think it leaves us vulnerable. I like the idea with the county just because they're a little bit more in line with what we're trying to achieve and maybe what Pine Tech is thinking that we're trying to achieve. But yeah, we do have to start looking sooner than later.
And the reason that I put the budget here is because we gotta find the money for it too. Because no matter what contract that we're gonna sign with whoever it is not gonna be Bombard Tech pricing, I can guarantee that.
Nicole did budget for a 20% increase. So since January, we've had that 20% increase of what we had budgeted for last year. So it's not a lot, but it's more.
What are we sitting at dollar-wise currently? I guess I just saw the budget this morning, so I didn't really have enough time to maybe shoot through it.
We've been setting aside 900.
That's what my math is.
Was this budget, I think, you just had a staff meeting. Did the department heads go over the budget and look at where they're at?
Yes, we did that yesterday
Okay,
and everyone's prepared.
so in your mind, that they're confident that the figures they looked at look pretty accurate or pretty normal for this time of year? I mean, you start dealing with the first quarter, it's pretty new and a lot of the expenditures aren't done at that time, so.
There were.
I like the figures and I like, thanks Dan for sending, but I didn't get a whole lot of time either, just like Kyle said, to look at this before this.
Yeah, and
I just attached it from, this was in the last meeting of March
So this worked out well. I didn't, it was so big when I was printing it, so, but keep this, you can highlight questions you
Oh, yeah.
have for the next meeting. Oh.
It'll be in my Marcy list.
So I'm not ruling out the possibility of this year, but I'm guessing that there's gonna be a significant cost associated with hiring an in-house IT individual. I'm guessing that, is that 12, 10, 8 a year, probably isn't gonna wanna bring somebody in. So with the probably the most, Kent, you're probably the best expert in here. What would be maybe the ballpark of what we'd be looking at for a qualified IT individual to come in and do all this?
You're probably, for a generalist, you're probably scratching the surface of that 22 to 26 bucks an hour starting. For someone with more skill, and I'm not, I would definitely say, I think we even at the county we have us four, and then we have a contract with the consulting firm. We have some dollars in the bank with the consulting firm to say like, hey, this is above our heads. We need a little bit more help. We just need someone that does this on a daily basis to step in and supervise. So I wouldn't be opposed to having, I think we have like we put $10,000 in the pot at the beginning of the year, and that usually carries us for 2 years, I would say, in the county. The city wouldn't need anywhere near that kind of funds in a reserve or in a time bucket. But I think that, you're looking at least at that 22 to 25, 22 to 26 as a starting rate, which is,
How many hours a week at that? Like, that's what I was, how many customers do you serve at the county? Is it
There's-
hundreds?
there's 312 employees. So I think it works out to be like 75 people per IT.
So if one IT person
Or
could serve us, what do we have in the city? 25, 30?
Well, I think the cooperations that we've had with the county on a level with our prosecution with Reese Frederickson, which has worked out fantastic, with Leslie Sodders working out, I think, fairly well. Why wouldn't this just be another addition to that? Why wouldn't we just go in with them and say, okay, we give you X amount of dollars per year, you provide us this service? And if we could make that arrangement, wouldn't that be a kind of a win-win, and we know our cost? Let them worry about the 10,000 or 20,000 for an expert that they need to get. If they have to build that into the price that they charge us, so be it.
I'm not sure if I quite agree that every service from the county has been a good investment for the city. If we're gonna keep going with everything county, at what point do we just hand over the city's reins and say that we're gonna get rid of everything else and go with the county?
Well, that's not what I meant, Kyle. I think joint cooperation is very important, especially in today's world. And granted, maybe I've seen too much of it over the years, but we used to try to do everything on our own and on an individual basis. And I think we finally learned that it doesn't pay to reinvent the wheel. We just use the wheel that's there. And I, as the official working with Reese Frederickson, and that's the experience I had, it was like night and day. It was so much better than what I had to do before, trying to find, we had attorneys that we had to contract with, and we had to, and we frankly had a lot of trouble. When we turned it over to Reese, it was night and day. I mean, everything went smooth.
Building on what you said, there was a point before COVID that it was the school district, the city, the county, perhaps the college. Anyways, this is a little bit off topic, which I'm really good at. But we talked about saving resources by working together and seeing what we could share. And that's, I feel that's the flavor of what you're saying, not like we're turning it over to them, but where, because it comes from the same tax pool. Like, I'm a taxpayer in this community and I pay the school and the county and the city. So if those entities can work together and not overlap with services, that's great, in my opinion.
But to that point, we're paying county tax dollars already, then they charge us for the service, so we're double paying for that service. At the end of the day, the county exists to serve the county. They're providing a service and they want to make money to help assist with the county. Not necessarily do I believe that their goals are in line with our goals, and at what point do we lose our own identity by trying to have the city of Pine City if the county takes over everything? There's no doubt in my mind
It's
that.
another way to, I don't view it, I view it as like working together and sharing, but you know, that's the other side of the coin, I guess.
Operating as mentorship perhaps, but not being the service provider for everything. With the way that we're growing and continue to grow and the way that IT needs are growing and continue to grow, it's been something that's been discussed for many years, and I think that the time might be right to bring it in-house. To Mr. Palmer's point, not everything that we're getting for and paying from the county is fantastic and value ridden.
Well, I don't think IT is any different than prosecution and legal fees. That service hasn't even gotten any cheaper, and it's not going to. And the same thing with IT. I think the things that we work in cooperation with the county are the things that are very expensive. And we're not gonna lose ownership of it. We just would be making a choice at that period of time. And it would be up to every council after us to make their own decisions, whether they think this is a good idea or not. I think it's worth exploring. Look at what they have to offer and then compare it to what we could do privately or someone hired on the side. I don't know. The nice part about it is it's the 4 people that are there right now and are probably going to be there. And if they're not, the one sitting in the next desk is there, and the other one goes on vacation or is sick. If we hire someone individually and this person is sick, then where do we go? So I'm looking at, where's the backup in all of this stuff? And it's the same thing with prosecution. We don't have to worry about that. If the deputy prosecutor's sick, the other deputy prosecutor is going to do it. So, there's always backup, and we don't have that in a lot of our services. So I understand your concern, Kyle. I just think that we have enough ownership of what we're asking to do that I don't think it's going to be turning it all over. And granted, yeah, we're paying county tax, but this is a service above and beyond. You can't put a price on fire service, just like you can't put a price on legal and sheriff's office. I mean, it's something that we're stuck with, and we got to do it. We're responsible. Public safety is our number one thing. So.
Well, and to that point, we've had discussions about not having a
Right.
contract with the sheriff's department. So I do think that at some point we gotta sit down and talk about our contracted services. I personally don't believe we're getting what we're paying for. I think that might be for a meeting for a different time.
You can try to go off. So I just tried to.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're getting on pace to it, so it wasn't on this meeting's goals.
Here's another little seed that I'll just throw out there.
Your turn.
There is the possibility, or I wonder if there is the possibility that I have fears that the IT position, at least right now, isn't a 40-hour-a-week position, or it may be a 40-hour-a-week position until they get comfortable, and then you're going to run into some downtime. What would the thoughts be, or I wonder what the possibilities would be if we could potentially share that person with maybe the city of Hinckley and the city of Sandstone, come up with some sort of
Like we did with the building official.
joint powers agreement or something.
We shared the building official with Sandstone, Rock Creek, Hinckley, and ourselves. And it was all divided up.
I know that could cause a little bit of more time tracking and things for the employee, but that's.
I like that idea. It's a little more of a city sense of identity. Not that the county option isn't a good option, but it does have a better small town feeling to it.
We're sharing most of it. And we're not running someone that are like, got nothing to do today, but maybe Hinckley does, or maybe Sandstone does, or.
Well, when we shared building officials, the building official was pretty open to, okay, this guy has to have this done today, so I'm just gonna stay here this morning and instead of going to Sandstone this morning, I'm gonna stay in Pine City and go to Sandstone this afternoon. I mean, I understood that and it worked out pretty well. It was, but then again, we ended up with a conflict with the individual that was in all of our services that didn't get along with the administration. I was here at the time, so that's where it ended. Is that another possibility if we hire someone in that situation, that we're gonna have to go through that again? And I've lived through it, so I know what it's like. And so,
I think you always run a chance that they're not gonna get along with certain administrations or certain councils. I think we're a pretty fair and open-minded council, but that hasn't always been the track record either, so. I don't think you can guarantee a perfect relationship going forward. You just have to have the individual that can kind of navigate the waters. So in the short term, we want to look at trying to talk to Sandstone and Hinckley on if that's an option, and also talking to the county on what they have for options.
I think we need to start exploring something. We just
I
can't
can
sit
get
back.
these phone calls.
But we also have to give our administration the ability to reach out to these private firms if we got something that needs to be handled, let's get it handled until we can get this figured out. There is money in the budget for it, so let's use it if we have to, sparingly, I hope.
It'd be nice to at least get some kind of ideas and numbers to what we'd be looking at. Whether it was contracted out, county, cities, in-house, whatever. It's hard to budget without it.
Maybe we'll make sure we're clear with the union, if it's a union position, if there's a union guardrails that are around IT. We've found.
Well, I mentioned the fact that maybe we could do an MOU. I had sent that bill out to Melanie and Marcy and is that a possibility? I don't know. We do MOUs for a few things and if it's written properly, it works.
If they accept it.
If they accept.
Which hasn't been the case lately.
No, I understand.
Administrative assistant.
Yeah. that's the fact.
What type of duties at the office aren't getting done? Where's the big
We're
breakdown?
gonna see it soon here. We've been doing fine. We just put out our summer staff and also we're gonna be listing the beach, the swimming lessons.
It's already listed.
What is listed already? Okay. Did it just go up yesterday? Okay. So that is, well, what happened last year is we had the grants, it was free. It was we all would chip in and do the registering of each person, but there was no cash handling. Because the first, 400 were free with this grant. Now we're gonna have this year people coming in to pay for this swimming lesson, so we need to do accounts receivable, data entry, making sure we got each person in the right group paid for.
So so it's swimming lessons is because we're hiring one more full-time administrative assistant to handle swimming lessons.
No,
That's what I'm looking for more.
okay, so that was one of them.
What's going on at the
Fire billing, yeah,
There's administrative assistant, like, sorry.
I'm listening.
They help with receiving, the state's gonna take all of that, on. So she's doing utilities, receiving and all other utilities, so be helping.
You don't send them out to Public Works? Okay.
all payments come to City Hall.
Okay, so who is our administrative assistant? How many
We
do we
don't
have?
have.
We don't have any?
No,
Because what is Lisa's position called?
she does the water bills, but I guess she's utility billing specialist / does she still?
Because she's in the, when I joined council, we had 3 administrative assistants that worked for the union.
She is still an administrative assistant, that is her title, with the she's administrative assistant, utility bills.
Okay, and so when I was hired, we had Carissa, who was more of an executive assistant. We had Mark, who was more of a billing specialist, and then we had Lisa, who handled payments and accounts receivable and all that. So we've shifted to Lisa doing just public works, but people don't pay out there, they pay.
They pay at City Hall and Sam takes, she receipts all the.
You see where I'm going with this? I'm just trying to understand the changes that have been made and what the new.
And we've been working to get this in line with the auditors, because this is something we've been dinged on repeatedly, is that we had someone sending the bills out and taking the payments. That is a conflict of interest. We
Okay.
need to have a checks and balance. So what we've created in the last year is a checks and balance. So Lisa gets the bills out, Sam receipts all the payments.
And is Sam an administrative assistant or is she?
She's a accounting clerk, AKA budget analyst and analyst.
Still under the union at the same moment?
I think where I'm going with this is, just understanding the roles and whatnot, and I've heard, I think you guys at the office do a phenomenal job of just dealing with everything, but I'm just wondering where the holes are, so what this position's gonna look like, because it seemed like, yeah, if this new hire could do some administrative assisting and fill in some.
Because we have-
It wasn't that good, but-
So since we have the accounting clerk taking all the payments, it's a conflict of interest for her to send the invoices out. So we don't really have, and Tabitha's been filling that void with getting the fire billing out, getting other invoices out. We sold
We
the,
still have 3. Is Tabitha administrative assistant?
no,
Yeah, okay.
So she's being pulled out of her position plan consistently.
So then we'll have, yeah, see. Figure out, we had 3 union positions and now it appears we're gonna have 4.
0. We have 1 right now.
Lisa,
That's it.
Sam,
well, no,
Sam-
Lisa,
Sam-
Sam's, and now.
and
Sam's-
Tabitha,
But Tabitha's not an AA, she's a city.
right. I said union position, yes, that's
Yeah.
what I was trying to get in my head. So we're creating another union.
So it would be,
We're
Lisa,
filling an
Sam.
existing position that's out there is what we're looking at doing, but I do see the difference.
This was Tabitha's position, who is still in the union, so in my opinion, it's adding 1 more union member to the staff.
except that position wasn't in previously. Tab's city planner was not.
I understand, yeah, that's.
But there is, okay, swimming lessons is one thing. Fire building, and we've talked about going to just one style of fire building. That kind of downsizes duties pretty significantly. I don't see swimming and fire building as a full 40-hour person.
So
Job.
there's park reservations, also invoicing for SCDPs and all of our like rentals and stuff like that. We have that person answers the phone, so the first point of contact with people coming to the door. Like right now, we're all getting up and running for the front, depending on who's available. Scheduling, like, and this person we were hoping would be a big help to Brock. So like, if Brock needed help out the parks when it's not summer, if he doesn't have summer staff, that he could have somebody that would go out and help him do anything he needs.
Well, one of the, and this is with the previous council, maybe Gina recalls, but one of the other duties that we had set aside for the administrative assistant, which was Tabitha at the time, was to go and assist Tom at the fire hall, and I haven't seen anybody at the fire hall in a long time, so did we stop doing that, or?
The fire hall gets charged for 8 hours a week
So this person's strong time.
and has been sold.
Or, I mean, my argument was, why can't that work be brought to? Because if it's supposed to be data entry work, I've encouraged Tom to bring that work to City Hall to get it done versus going to the fire hall and.
And is that coming out as 8 hours a week, or for data entry, or?
It had been, but not recently.
So we're billing the fire department, and I only bring that up because that goes out to the township argument all the time about what services they're paying for.
However, we do have all of his bills coming through, so there is, like, that portion does come through admin.
And that stuff was all done before we assigned special hours. Before the council assigned that, so
And
that,
do we assign any admin to Public Works, or is it just through Lisa? Like, does any of Sam's portion go to Public Works when she?
Because he does well.
Yeah.
So the AP.
So it'd be the same as Public Works is what,
cause all the billing and the data entry was supposed to be done under that mark. I don't know, I think about that situation too, but that At the
When
time,
it worked, and it didn't work when it,
yeah, at the time, we had set it aside as that individual still going to the fire hall and then also having those duties on a different position. So it seems like I don't know. We're not following through on the stuff that we had set aside for the administrative position. We're adding new duties and we're taking off the old stuff, and I'm getting really confused on whether or not we have a 40-hour per week job. And going out to parks and helping pick up trash and stuff is not exactly my intention of administrative assistant.
Well, and for me, my concern is that audit starts and, well, now, once the audit is in full swing, for how long that takes, that occupies 3 people all day, every day at City Hall. So now there's 3 less people to run up and answer the door, answer the phone, take a utility bill, whatever the case. So now if Tabitha is doing plan review and Adam's out on a plan review or doing an inspection of some sort, now all of a sudden there's nobody at City Hall.
Well, the audit's held with in-house, so.
Understood,
Yeah.
but again, pulling someone out of their position plan and the job that they're supposed to be doing administrative tasks, and then the amount of time.
so does Tabitha only do planning review 40 hours a week? She does not, she's not an administrative assistant. Sam and the other person help her with some of her administrative. It's a planning position.
It is a planning position, however, she does do a lot of that front desk currently still. Like park reservations, getting the invoices done, refunds done.
Since summer's coming, could the park reservations and whatnot be handled by a seasonal employee? Like, could we hire someone for the summer?
Like a temp employee out of the hall or something.
We'll just see, yeah, seasonal, however, our contract starts with that. I mean, would that be a idea? And then we can go ahead with, it seems fluffy to add an administration assistant for a season, but we need it, we need it.
If we voted to hire it, we put out,
Yeah.
we've done all the applications and the interviews and.
I'm not saying we shouldn't hire it, I'm just saying, I agree with Kyle about thinking that this administrative assistant is gonna go help in the parks is, like, that's the first time I heard that, so it's different than, and unlike you, I haven't attended the interviews and all that, and so my brain is trying to catch up. What is this position? What's the ask here today? Still kind of narrowing it down, trying to learn, like, why am I involved in hiring of this person if we already gave direction? So I'm just, yeah.
Look up the parts would be minimal, like, we're talking like Christmas time, when he needs help decorating a float for holiday madness, or decorating park, like, just cutting an extra hand when he doesn't have seasonal staff.
And I worry about that, so that we might be putting that individual in a position where they could get hurt, slip, trips and falls, or lifting something that they weren't going to help or lift. When I hear administrative assistant, I hear administrative work, not decorating floats.
Is that what Brock's part of the interview process? Because that was your hopes.
Well, this person is.
No, I mean, I noticed Brock was part of the administrative assistant interview. And is that what, because that was kind of in the works, yes? But
It was my understanding that previous council had given direction to try to help find administrative help for Brock because he can't.
oh, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that he needed administrative help.
Well, that would be the park reservations and
And the administrative stuff makes sense. The actual hands-on labor side stuff doesn't make sense. I'd rather hire seasonal employees for that task than doing administration paperwork.
We have the ability to hire, so we could hire fund. Guys, Dan's right. We've done all the homework, the staff has done their due diligence to pick this person or persons that are qualifying for this position. I'm ready to make a motion. I think we just go with staff's recommendation on which way. I think it's within their job description to make these decisions. I don't think us beating the heck out of this is gonna make a lot of difference. I would like to see after the hire is done, that administrator goes through all the administrative positions in the office and give us a list of what their duties are so that we might understand that, because right now I'm probably way more confused than Kyle is. And about what people do, and I'm not even sure that you guys actually know what's gonna happen. And I think you got a handle on it, but I don't think you know the 100%. So that's,
I don't think we need to make a motion because I think it says the city administrator designate will manage the hiring.
okay, well, I
It has to come before council.
Okay,
Yeah.
after you do the choosing, do you have, are we talking about a candidate right now? Or are we talking about,
I think the staff is gonna make a recommendation based off of the scoring that occurred for the
Okay.
next council meeting
on
on
the 24th or when is that?
the 24th. I'm definitely open to the idea. I think we need to start having some more meetings about, I think we need to do more evaluations on what's going on, 6 months review, because it seems like we set all these goals and these priorities and intentions and everything just kind of, I have no idea where everything goes. It's just spiraling out of control. And there's stuff that hasn't worked. There's stuff that hasn't gotten done. And I don't want to hire positions just to hire positions because we think we need them and not be actually getting any purpose out of them. I think we need to have 6 month reviews for all the positions, to be honest, to see where they're at. Do they need more help? Do they need more training? Are they meeting expectations and the goals that we set for them? I don't want to wait just until December and try and come up with 3 days and shove it all in a 10-minute review. That's not fair to the employee either. How do you succeed under that?
I do like that you're meeting monthly and, going over budgets and goals, and I think that's helpful because then you have a pulse on what's going on, what's
Very
nice.
helpful.
Yeah.
Kind of stop again for IT. Just keep going back to that, but. Happy.
I'll withdraw my possible motion.
So so basically with the next council meeting, you're gonna come back with a recommendation for the administrative assistant position. And you're gonna look into options for IT services, whether it's the county, multiple cities, in-house or contracted out through private service. It's gonna be a busy vacation.
And
So current staffing and system execution, that's kind of what we're talking about. I'm just going by that, and then personnel policy, employee recruitment and selection. Was there anything that we wanted to talk about the recruitment process or the selection?
I just want to make sure that everybody was comfortable and understood how it works, because there's been a lot of questions about how interviews work and where they come from. So that's why I thought it would be important to have this.
So how did it work?
Everybody
Let's talk about that.
understands. Are we making sure that we're following this? It's just more of a point of information because it's different.
well, we all were asked if we wanted to be a part of it. I couldn't be for personal reasons, but I had too many other things going on at the time. So if we have to rely on who was there, Kent and Dan, I think you were the two. Were you at it? I wasn't at any.
I didn't-
Kyle, were you at
I
it? I
didn't
don't-
get invited.
Oh, no, it wasn't my memo. Because Ken
Oh, yeah,
asked,
you were
Ken had
invited.
asked.
Okay.
We were all
Sorry.
invited.
I was invited, I didn't.
She chose not to read my memo.
Didn't you send one of them emojis with the thumb down or something? I just. That was, just can't even see that.
I could have,
You said Patsy.
I could have, but I still am having a little bit of. So, excuses there.
I didn't participate in it, but I do have a hard time with the fact that I'm supposed to sign off on something where individuals think that this is a full-time 40-hour position job. And the mention is that we're gonna be having that individual hanging up lights. That was not my intention for this position. So I have a hard time with hiring this position. It seems like it's not well-defined on what we want. So I misunderstood those targets, so. Be an interesting vote.
Well,
I have one more question, as long as we're on the whole job description thing. So, does each of our administrative assistants have their own job description?
We don't have any administrative assistant positions. We have all
Well,
special.
technically Lisa is utility billing specialist, public works is administrative
Let me,
assistant.
let me just go back to my only frame of reference in talking about, when I joined council, we had 3 administrative assistants and they all were in the same pool for work. They were all supposed to work equally and, you know, share
Prosper.
duties and things like that.
I don't think there's been cross-training ever because it's been utility billing did,
Can you explain that
Yeah.
because of the audit? And
Oh, yeah,
I am,
huge
I'm just telling you, so we had these 3 union positions that were in the office. We currently have 3 positions that are in the office, but Tabitha's administrative assistant has moved to planning, but she's still in the union. So in my mind, I'm still saying we're gonna have 4 office union positions.
Yes.
Thank you.
You mentioned cross training though, and this is important. I know that you can't have 2 people doing the same thing, but you should have 2 people that know how to do the same thing.
exactly.
And in my mind, if it's all under administrative assistant, then every single administrative assistant should know how to do any of the tasks that any other individual can do, because if they get sick or leave or God forbid die, I don't want to have to retrain somebody for an entire year. So that would be one of those goals.
Have a baby, you know, yeah.
So when you guys negotiate union contracts, I hope that you address that or question that or whatever, because I'd like to understand that better. You know, if we have,
Well, I think that's the intention.
yeah,
I hope to be a part of that.
That was one of those conversations that we were having, and that's where the union said that that's a union position. So that is one of those things that's out there. But yes, right now there's 3 administrative assistant positions. Those were always on the books. And then the planning one, which is what the union calls a union position, is a union position right now.
great.
So 4 union positions at City Hall, not including any other union positions across the, I guess, one of those individuals is in that City Hall, so spread it there.
Then we have to be careful about not putting somebody that's in a union position under the direct supervision of another union position. Because that makes trouble for
I
that.
don't think, I think that's always been our out. If someone supervised a person, they couldn't be in the union.
But we have all those union positions now.
It's no longer an out because of the phrasing of our clause,
Oh,
well,
that's right.
That's getting into union stuff, a different topic, but
well, it's a union position, so.
I know, but we're not talking about what the union clarifies. It's union positions and not in language. We should stick to the union position at hand, but we will have 4 union positions if, once we fill that position
And so,
at that tier.
did we beat that up enough in future staffing needs? Did we cover that kind of all at the same time? Or is that a different topic? I'm just looking at the future.
I think we probably made it worse in my mind, but
That's what happens.
How I looked everything together and one thing, and I will just add the last little area that I'll add for the AA position. Something that keeps sticking in my mind is the Connex box full of files between city. That could be scanned and organized, or something needs to be done, but some of them are permanent, we have to retain permanent files, but just to go through that.
That's a good ask.
I haven't seen the
Yeah.
inside of it, but I think that would,
It's, yeah,
rather than hearing that we've had, or at least in the past, we've had staff spending hours going through paper files. If we could, if they were all digitized, use it, or something, I feel like that's just won't use of time.
and doing that and keeping it updated is my idea. Administrative assistant should be doing.
Well, unfortunately, there was other administrators that were tasked with that job to get that done, but whoever was the person that was inputting didn't title a lot of this stuff, so it's probably in there, we just need to be able to find it.
I thought that got fixed.
No, I don't think so.
everything from Laserfish was removed and put into. Drive, okay, and that's been corrected, so that's
Yes,
searchable.
okay.
But what we have in the big.
No.
So in the past, we've had an intern when possible. And that worked and did some of the scanning for free. And then we also have the option and we have, budget money to hire and get that done, but that would be something that the office staff would have to figure out, like how many hours could be dedicated a week, because somebody's gonna have to supply them with what's scannable and what's shreddable and
Right.
whatnot. But that's a whole nother, that would be a part-time seasonal or,
The hardest part of that, Gene, is, every bit of that paperwork has something to do with something in city government. And these people that are inputting got to know how to title it
yes,
and where to send it. Otherwise, it's
right.
It's
That's what I'm
worth,
saying. I can see it.
somebody's got to set that
Somebody
up.
at the office saying this needs to
Yeah.
be scanned in under this, and then when that person came in to scan, they would have direction on how to do it, instead of just,
I would say that we scan it, everything. And then decide whether or not you're gonna delete all the files once it's in there. That's a lot easier for city staff to be able to sit, like you said, at their desk and.
We can put retention times on anything. I mean,
Yep.
can't work that. I mean, it's just, it'll go away automatically if it's put in there, right? I mean, that's.
I do like your idea as an intern or intern employee coming in, seasonal employee to do that stuff. You gotta believe that's pretty mind numbing for city staff.
3 or 4 times that, because one summer, before we had the Parks and Rec department, we had an intern come in, do, something, an assessment of all our parks, and that was his, assignment that he turned in for this college.
College, yeah. Yeah, I've worked with a few
Yeah.
of those. Yeah, they were some of them were very good.
Yep.
So I don't know which schools you have to go to get those, but I'm trying to remember where some of these kids come from, but I think it's like out of Duluth and, Scholastica and University of Minnesota Duluth and some other places. That's Lake Superior College, I believe, even.
With the budget talks, if that's one of the things that we wanted to go with, I'm sure that we could post it at some point if the council decided they want to go there.
But that was also when we had lots of office space and, they could just, came in and had a place to work. I don't know where they would work.
I would think the college would have some place that you could send that request to that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying when they get here, where
There's we could probably,
conscious box.
I think you could set up a workstation behind the front desk
Yeah.
if we needed.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, that would be.
Otherwise, there's that. Not that I would want to show anybody in the closet behind the conference room, but there's a
Oh, yeah.
store behind the conference room. Assuming that would be used as a.
And the conference room is usually open, so. Where did that student come from at the last council meeting who wanted to have a picture with?
She's a high school.
Russia City,
She used to go to Kind City, but.
talking about a meeting to sit through.
I gave her my business card and said if she was interested in being on the planning commission as a student representative, to
Oh, nice.
get in contact.
I gotta find these business cards.
That makes it weird.
We have a stack of them at
Yeah, they're.
City Hall.
If I don't,
Yours are gold leaf.
if I don't get them, I'll get calls, so.
Yeah, there's a difference, mine was just plain paper, it didn't even have color.
Okay, so we can have a general idea of what we're gonna do before the next meeting, I guess? For the budget meeting?
Hang on to these, this will be helpful. You can use this to highlight any questions. I've let department heads know that they'll be called to the podium for explanations on anything that is over budget. They should be able to explain to you why.
Are we gonna have enough time in the 2 hours set aside for that?
You want us to dissect this personnel policy?
Well, you asked for a copy of it. so-
Yeah, I didn't know if you.
He asked for it, you didn't. Sorry.
So that's the updated personnel policy, that's fine.
No, it's not. That's the one that's currently approved.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you guys are almost ready.
almost done with it, yeah.
Then we'll see a red line version.
Well, because we have the old one and then we took the League of Minnesota Cities one and have been updating it. So you'll have the comparisons. It's not
So
really.
I'm going to read one and then get the, no red line version. Okay.
I can put them into to like a compare file for you.
Yes, we will have a comparison.
That'd be good.
That would be
I'd like
helpful
that too.
Because I agree too. It is easier.
There. I
Time.
have other skills, but reading tedious documents and then comparing them to another long tedious document. That's not my forte. I am it. I am it, but.
I do, yeah.
1 hour versus 10. Yeah.
I stopped reading that stuff. I like doing radio.
Radio, that's good.
So we could potentially be taking action on both of these items at the 24th meeting.
What do you see as what? Tell me what you see as what items.
IP and AAA staffing.
Okay.
I think the AA position for sure, we're gonna be taking action on. I'm not 100% sure about IT in the event that we decide to post it for, whether we not go with a couple different cities or in-house, that might be an option. So we might make an action to post it, but I'm not gonna necessarily say that we're gonna take an action to approve a county or a city without.
Well, Marcy, during her report can tell us what she's found out to.
Yeah, I will
Bunch of
keep
meetings.
you, yeah,
Right.
updated on what I find out when I find out. That'll help. Just
Right.
Just
instead of last
like to
minute.
remind council
Yeah.
that we don't have IT services as of the 31st of April.
Right.
We don't
What?
have, so if something goes wrong,
So
we're
What
screwed.
kind of things have been found to be the most, what's the bulk of the IT calls about?
It's, and honestly, I don't get a lot of help I need help with. This help I need help with this, that, or other things. A lot of the things that I would say are things that we probably should be doing, but aren't necessarily doing as well as far as cleaning up. There's a bunch of computers that need to be replaced by the end of October. You know, switching, getting rid of this building on our fiber optic networks and moving everything over to the firewall.
Big one, big thing.
Yeah, so that probably is something that needs to get done before.
good thing you're getting it all done before that.
You can't have that big, it would be fun.
Running the midnight oil.
But if we have a system crash or a internet issue or a backup, like we don't have anybody to call.
One thing to keep in mind, we were in this situation. Gina and I were both there. The rest of the council wasn't there, but we were in a situation where the county came to us and said that all your services are gonna end at the end of April. And you need to push forward with an option. And we made a decision. We thought at the time it was a good decision, and it turns out that it was a disaster decision. So I don't want to repeat the same issue where we're panicking because at the end of April, we're worried about the servers crashing and we're going to put in a position that could be an albatross. So that's what's weighing on my mind is I understand where you're coming from, and that was the same position we were at that time, and it did not turn out.
And I'm panicking because we've been discussing this as a council since January and we're now to the middle of April and we have done nothing. Other than we've looked at a couple of contractors. That's where my panic comes.
Well, Dan, like I told you, we decided to Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think we've made some good strides on a lot of stuff. I think the ability to get a private contractor company, when you have some names, isn't that hard. That's a phone call away. And I think we can get somebody here. Is it gonna cost us money? Yes. But we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice until we get this figured out. I think we're not, I don't see where anybody's dragging their feet on this, Dan. I think it's just having to be one of those things that we didn't get done. But we've got a lot of other stuff done, so I think we're gonna
And
be
also,
proud of it.
yes, and also because it's to serve the staff, as we sit in this rocky chair, I'm not prepared to tell you, Marcy, what you need at your office. I want you to come to us and say, this is what we need, this is what we found, this is what I think will work, and then we can, flush it out and make sure that that's the best decision for everyone, but how would I know? That's why I'm asking Kent, that's why I'm asking Melanie, that's why I'm asking you. I don't know what you need or want at the office. I mean, moving the fiber up, that's a good one. That's a big job. Thank you.
I do agree with the fear that you have with this position. I don't want to have it pushed out forever. My intent, if it does get delayed a little bit, we're talking about a week or two, not an entire year. I'm fine with paying a couple $1,000 bills if it says $600,000 for a train wreck. If we find the right option before the end of April, awesome. If we need a little more time to talk about it, then I would like to take a couple extra weeks to talk about it and make sure that we're doing our due diligence for what we need for the city. and not getting back into that history of having just a train wreck because the person that came in sold us everything that we thought we wanted, and it turns out that they didn't sell us anything. So.
Where did we put all our IT stuff when we leave this building? We have it somewhere already, or do we have any IT stuff?
There's not a whole lot left. There's some equipment in the old server room, like the cable modem, our backup modem, things like that, move over to the firewall or our,
Okay.
that'll be our new central hub. Some extra switches and things that we can just keep on hand as a spare somewhere. In this building.
Good.
I would say the bulk of the things that would need storage or something like that, racking these TVs and stuff out. This console, that's.
Somebody stole one.
It's probably been on the last council meeting, but I do agree with the point, Mr. Swanson, and I'm truly devoted to working through a solution at the next meeting. Just want to keep it on everybody's radar that a perfect solution might not exist at that meeting. So agreed.
And it wasn't just trying to bring it back, that's what I wanted to meet today, is because it's something that needs to be back to the forefront. And in my opinion, if we would wait until the 24th to begin these conversations, it would put us in a very disadvantageous situation. I'm not saying that as council that we haven't had a bunch and that we haven't done a bunch of really great things, we have. But these are imperative, in my opinion, there's nothing more imperative to the city running properly than IT. Because if IT goes out, we're done until it's fixed.
I'll take it off the whole paper.
And it depends on where in the meeting you start talking. It's low on the.
The dollar speaks.
Sometimes just lose focus.
And Dan, nobody wanted to change things any more than I did. I'm sorry. I mean, I've seen 35 administrators come and go and all kinds of chaos for many, many years. And I'm feeling really good right now that things are on a positive move, and I think we all have a lot to be proud of. And I just hope I can stay alive for a couple more years so we can keep this going. And then after that, I don't know, guys.
I don't wish for a lot more than a couple of years.
Yeah, well, but you know what? We don't have, that's out of my control too. That's above my pay grade. And we know what our pay is, so.
Yeah. I told you, you should have doubled your salary when you.
You promised me, but you never gave it.
Yeah, no, I did.
So since we're jumping off subject a little bit, everybody good with where we're sitting?
I have my marching orders.
Okay.
Did we make a decision? It was just discussion, right?
It was, yeah, it was good.
Would someone like to make the motion to adjourn, or do we have any other discussion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kyle.
I'll second that.
Second by Dave. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
My tolerance for cold is kind of wearing out. It's right towards the edge.
Yeah, a bowl of chili right now. It tastes pretty good.
I'm so